what we call the acharya. Acharya is basically one who teaches by example, not just teaches. Many times we have teachers, but in life the most significant, effective, and deep, let's say, understanding comes when we hear by or we see by example. Practice what we preach, so to speak. So acharya is one who teaches by example. So our acharya, we see here, Sri Bhavan is the acharya. So we'll sing a couple of mantras to honor him, and then another mantra to honor the deities on the altar, and their mission, which is to spread love, mercy, peace in the world through purification of our consciousness, through chanting sound vibration, which purifies us. Is the microphone okay, or is it too high pitched? Do you think it's too high pitched? Is it okay? Yeah, it depends on the other devotees. Can you hear? It's not too kind of echoey, or you sure? Any problems, let me know, or let somebody know. So we're right on time. Perfect time. Vishnu Hadaya, Krishna Kestaya, Uttare, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Kestaya, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Gauravani, Vishwamani, Nivaseshwari, Samyamani, Astyachari Sattari, Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Sunyavadi, Vasatyari Sattarine, Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gauravattari. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gauravattari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Candidates, don't eat the banana. Not one initiation. In fact, it was one of the first initiations in our movement. It was in San Francisco. And at that initiation, the devotees taking first initiation were very, we could say, they were not very familiar with the procedure. They were recently, some of them had just stopped smoking marijuana 1 or 2 days earlier, maybe the day before. They didn't know what was happening, and they were still basically dressed as they normally would, with t-shirts and so on. And they really were, let's say, very sincere, but not familiar with traditions, please. Never mind. It's the heart that really counts. The two, are you okay? Are you happy there, you two ladies? You okay there? Good. Nice arrangement. Thank you, Doctor. And where's John gone? He's disappeared. He changed his mind? Where's he gone? Oh, there he is. Oh, how do you go? The other way around. This way. No, you're doing good. But this goes at the top. There we go. That's it. I can imagine you being in San Francisco for that first initiation. And Prabhupada said, because at the end of the fire sacrifice, there's 1 or 2 little mantras which are chanted. And Prabhupada said that Prabhupada had a very strong Indian accent. And many Americans, English have a little easier, but because the Indians were taught by the British mainly. So, and especially Scottish, by the way. Prabhupada's teacher was from Scotland at school. What was his name? Professor Urquhart. Scottish. Prabhupada went to Scottish Churches College in Calcutta. And so this teacher had a Scottish accent. So English, Scottish people could probably understand Prabhupada easier. Americans, a little bit difficult for them. And Prabhupada said, bow down at the end of the fire there, because the fire was burning still. He said, no, bow down. They thought he said, blow down. And they all went down the ground and started blowing at the fire. Which wasn't the right thing to do. And then he said, now take the banana. And they picked the banana up and started peeling the banana to start eating it. No, not to eat in your hands. So they thought, when you say, here, take a sweet, you mean eat it, right? So take a banana, you mean eat it. They didn't know. So please don't eat the banana. I know you're hungry, but don't bother. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Pada, Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotar Satashri A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Ananta Kota Vaishna Vrinda Ki Namacharya Shla Haridasa Sakura Ki Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki. Yeah. It's nice to bow down. If you can bow down, that would be best. Prema Dwani. Bow down, mister. Where do we get to? Prem Sigaho, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath, Shamakund Radhakund Ki Govardhan Ki. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki, Shri Mayapur Dham Ki, Ganga Maya Ki, Yamuna Maya Ki, Tulsi Deva Ki, Bhakti Deva Ki, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki, Shri Nrsimhadev Bhagavan, Appearance Day Ki Jai, Shri Nrsimha Chaturdasi Ki Jai, Shri Kodanatai Mayapur Shashi Ki Jai, Shri Tulsinath Ki Jai, Karuna Bhavan Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Brihat Madanga Ki Jai, Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvasesha Sanyavadi Pastacharde Shatani. Hare Krishna. Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to those who are not assembled. So this is a festival today, spiritual festival. It's like when you welcome the birth of a child or the birthday of a child. Isn't it a festival, isn't it? In most parts of the world, maybe all parts, I don't know, but birthdays are generally jolly days. So today we have a different type of birthday. You have you could say your physical birthday, and some fortunate souls, we're blessed. Everyone has the opportunity in time to have the second birth or the connection through the spiritual master, through the disciplic succession. As a child coming out the womb, it's like liberation, although it's painful at first. It's being liberated from that prison, more or less, of the womb. Child packed up in the womb, and then the child comes out. It's not easy to get out. It's very painful for mother and child, and it's not easy growing up. But the birth into the spiritual world is in the spiritual path is also like coming out of the womb of the material world. And it's not easy at first. It takes a while to get adjusted, to wake up, to become accustomed to the atmosphere, spiritual atmosphere in this case. But in the right association with care and attention, and with the kindness of those around us, we grow up and mature in spiritual life. So today we're having an initiation ceremony. Oh, before I forget, I mentioned just now, bow down, mister. And there's a famous song by a famous personality whose name is Boy George. Perhaps you've heard the name. Has anyone heard that name? Some of you may not. Those who are very innocent, or whatever you want to call it, out of touch with music of the modern era. But he's been around a few years. He's 60 years old. He's 61 years old now, I think. He's not a young chicken anymore. And the other day, perhaps you watched it on YouTube or something. Did you see him at the manor, the Bhaktivedanta manor? Some of you watched it. It's quite a rage. I mean, using all terms of 50 years ago. I don't know if it's still a term of today. It's quite a rage. It was quite a rage. He was at the manor in this new hall they have it called the Haveli Hall. It's a big hall for weddings and functions. So there were hundreds of people there, devotees and people were gathered for various reasons. And he was there with one of our devotees and his band. This devotee is named Jaya Dev. Some of you may know him. He used to be known John Richardson. He was the leader of the Rubits, a famous music band in the late 70s, 80s, I don't know, after my time. Never heard of them. But they were called the Rubits. And he was the lead. He became an initiated devotee. He came to the temple. They were all favorable. And they were the whole band. They're all old men now, 70 plus. And they're all there on the stage playing their instruments, singing away, And on comes Boy George singing his song, Bow Down, Mr. Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. And all this, we sing Radhe Shyam and so on and so forth. And when he went to Vrindavan, he went to Radhakund. And he took water and took bath in Radhakund. And then he became inspired to write this song, which people all over the world sing. And he was on stage singing it. Then he sang straight Maha Mantra. And he was jumping up and down like crazy and got everyone to jump up and down, jumped into the audience basically and started dancing with the devotees. It was quite amazing. I mean, it's worth a watch. It really increases one's enthusiasm and faith in the holy name. He's done a great service. Hare Krishna, anyway. Bow down, mister. Humble. Bowing down is, not something we necessarily like doing or familiar with. But we all have to bow down. We take our birth, we take our death as well. And when we die, we have to bow down. Slowly, down you go. So better we practice this before, the last moment. It might be, too late then to do it in a humble way. So it's to help us also to develop humility, respect. False ego is the essential covering of the jiva in this material world, this false identification, this attachment, pride, and envy and so on, which go along with false ego. And this is keeping us from our relationship with Krishna. It's keeping us from our real, and even understanding our own self. Most people, this false ego causes us to think we're the body, isn't it? And this is me. This is mine. I'm a Scotsman. I'm English. I'm French. Whatever it is we think we are. Man, woman. Temporary, we have a certain body in this world. Next life, it may be the opposite. We may be a man or a woman in this life and the opposite in the next life. We're neither one nor the other. These are just coats which we're wearing. So the process of spiritual life is a step-by-step process to gradually free us from this false ego and to awaken or to help us to realize our real ego. We do have ego. Ego is not wrong. Ego means identity. In the material world, it's called ahankara. We have our akara, we have our real identity. But in this world, it's false. It's like in a dream, we dream we're something we're not. And then we wake up, we realize that wasn't me actually. We thought it was. And neither is this daydream us either. So spiritual life is to wake up from this dream. So there are various practices which may seem ritualistic, they may seem foreign, and some of them may not be practical or not so important. But they're there to help us, little things. We have habits which are related to our identities, behavior patterns, and so on and so forth, much of which are connected very closely to our false identities, our upbringing in a false world called Maya. Probably false, but it's like a, let's say, temporary. It's like a dream reflection, more than reflection, more like a dream. It's there, but it's only temporary. It's related to reality, but it's a reflection in the sense that it's not. It doesn't have the eternal qualities of the spiritual realm, only temporary, like flickerings of this world. It's a jumble sale of reflections from the spiritual world, which we consider it to add the reality, but it's not the reality. So to understand the reality takes a little bit of, let's say, humility. It takes a little bit of mercy. So initiation today, on this very auspicious day, today being the appearance day of Lord Nrsingadeva. Later on, we'll be hearing more about Lord Nrsingadeva, but he's very important in the, at least in the Gaudiya Vaishnava line. He's important in other lines of devotion also. No. But his part in our line of disciplic succession, particularly, he also has his eternal associates, but generally for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, he plays a very significant part because most of us, if not all of us, have anartas. So explain what an anarta. There's the word arta. Arta means that which is of value. It possesses value. Anarta means it doesn't have any real value. We may place value to it, but it doesn't really have any value. It doesn't help us, let's say, if we want to realize ourselves. Unnecessary things, unnecessary thoughts. Thoughts which keep us entangled in the material world. Objects which keep us entangled in the material world. Now, is there anyone here who doesn't have any anartas? I can give you plenty if you want. More than enough. Anybody? So maybe we don't care less. Maybe we don't think what's this all about. Fine. We apologize. Yes, it's a purification. Anarta is in our consciousness. Again, it's not really, it's called Anarta Pashamam Shakshat Bhakti Yogathokshaji. The anartas, or these unwanted desires, attachments, tendencies, objects of identity, and so on, are superfluous. They have nothing really to do with the soul. They're superfluous. So, to the soul, they cause misery, by the way. We wonder why. People are always busy trying to counteract miserable situations, everything from coronavirus to wars to cancer to old age, rheumatism, arthritis, diabetes. What other nice things can you get in this lifetime? Huh? All kinds of terminal diseases, mental diseases, all kinds of mental diseases, which to some degree everyone's experiencing, and some more than others. All kinds of things. Now, you don't really want those. They're also unwanted. But the problem is that we're doing things which cause them, and that's our ignorance. And when someone gives some advice on that, we don't like it because we're attached. We're very, very attached to our habits, to our desires, to our objects, and so on. We can't let go. The process of spiritual life is to actually let go of all these anartas which cause us suffering. They're the cause of suffering. They're a result of suffering also, but their cause and effect goes like that. Cause, effect. The effect becomes a cause of another effect. Karma goes on. So to bring that to an end, the process of spiritual initiation is very significant. It's very, very important in this line to lift us up. So I'm going to read first, before we do that, actually, I will do the Achaman now because for various reasons, you've put the garlands on. But what we want to do now is we're going to take the devotees through the Achaman. Now, what does Achaman mean? We have all kinds of man, Spider-Man and this man and that man. And this is the Achaman. Acha, if you're from India, you know what Acha means. Acha, Achaman. Is that what it is? Yeah, he knows very well. He's a Sanskrit scholar, this man over here. Born Brahmin family, right, in birth. Where were you born? Cumbernauld. Glasgow. You're not from Cumbernauld. He lived there. Okay, I thought all the Brahmins were from Cumbernauld. That's all. So he studied in a Brahmin school in Glasgow, right? Yeah, he says yes to everything I say. He's called a yes. That's another man. Yes, man. So who's an Achaman? Come on, you're a Brahmin. What's an Achaman? No, I haven't told you, John. You never heard the term before. He's well trained up, very trained. We'll get you ready for Brahmin. We'll get you ready someday. Yeah, it basically refers to a process of purification. Amen. I guess amen also probably comes from Achaman. Could be. Or Om. They're all related, all these various purificatory mantras and processes and procedures. So we're going to go through this first. And, every yajna you go to, it's called a yajna. It means a sacrifice, particularly as Agnihotra or fire yajna. Every one you go to, you'll see that the procedure is slightly different. They chant this mantra first, they chant that mantra second. The other way around, they chant this mantra to do this, they chant that mantra to do that. So I'll just follow the simple one that we used to do. And others may have used to do other things. It doesn't matter. It's not so essential. The essential thing is the impression in our hearts. Impression in our hearts, what it does to our heart. There will be faults in the execution of today's ceremony, especially as I'm doing it. There will be no end of faults. And that is a very famous statement is there in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Mantratas Tantratas Chidram Dea Kalahavastuta, that even if there are unlimited faults, the timing is wrong. I'm facing the wrong direction, by the way, for a yajna. But in one sense, strictly speaking, but not in terms of the acharyas and the deities. But some strict Brahmins would point that out. We're using, let me see what type of plates. What are they made of? Paper or what are they, recycled rice flour or something? I don't know. They're not bad. Sometimes we see plastic plates there. Sometimes we see aluminium foil all over the the yajna there, and so on. Things which are considered Vedically ancient times they would never even know about, what to speak of utilize. Impure items. Maybe we're not very pure either. We naturally, we're not brought up in that type of lifestyle. We all kinds of things. We pick our nose, scratch our ears, do this, do that, all kinds of even worse things. And we're not, so all these things there, the paraphernalia may not be quite correct, the items that we're using. Here is a very traditional instrument used in ancient times by all the Brahmins. You may wonder, what am I doing? I'm going to be serving prasadam in the middle of the episode. If we were not fasting, we might do. Here's another traditional instrument for stirring the pot. What else we got? This looks more traditional. What is this? This is for the ashes, huh? Yeah, for the ghee. Oh, this is for the ghee. Okay, not this one. Stir it around a bit. Huh? Okay, I've got to learn to. Again, every time slightly different paraphernalia is there. Okay, so whatever it is, there may be faults, but in the Bhagavatam in the 8th canto it says, even if there are faults, if anusankirtanam tava If the chanting of the holy name goes on, everything becomes faultless, nischiram. So the chanting during the yajna, we're going to have a kirtan going on, just to whatever, not purposely to counteract, but to purify and to create the right atmosphere for our ceremony. So we're going to do the Achaman now. So I'm going to ask the devotees to listen carefully and repeat. You can all repeat if you want. I hope I can remember it because the last few days have been extraordinary in the world of sleep. Om Pavitra. All together. Om. No, I'll say once, you say repeat. I'll say, then you repeat. Om Apavitra Pavitrova Sarvavastam Gatopiva Yakshmaret Pundarikaksham Sabaya Myantara Shuchihi Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu. Now take what we call the Achaman cup. This is the Achaman cup. Okay. Now, with your, you got it? Okay, with your left hand, take the spoon, and in the cup of the right hand, in the means cup, take your left hand, put the spoon in your left hand. First, we'll put it in. The left hand first, okay? Spoon in the left hand. Put 3 drops of water in the middle of the palm, okay? Then throw it behind you, preferably not in the face of the devotee behind you, on the floor, okay? Got it? Throw the water behind, like cheap. Then take the spoon in your right hand, okay? 3 drops of water in the left hand, in the palm of the left hand. Same thing. Got it? You okay then? Now put it back in your left hand. Take 3 drops of water again in your right hand. You can do it 1, 2, 3, or you can do it 3 spoons. But there's a big spoon I've got here, and if I did that, it would overflow. So now, whilst meditating on the water in the hand, chant Om Keshavaya Namaha. Then sip the water from the bottom of the palm into your mouth. Now again, 3 drops of water in your right hand. 1, 2, 3. And then discard the water behind. Keeping the spoon in your left hand and putting the water in your right hand. Now again, 3 drops of water in your right hand, in the cup of the right hand, like this, in the palm. And again, Om Narayanaya Namaha. And sip the water. These are names of Krishna. Then again, 3 drops of water and discard them behind. And again, don't worry, this is almost finished. 3 more drops. 1, 2, 3. Om, meditate on the water. Om Madhavaya Namaha. Not exactly the water. Meditate on Krishna while looking at the water. And then sip. And then 3 drops again. And then discard the water behind. Okay. That's meaning of this little mantra we chanted, which you may never have chanted before if you've not been familiar with these ceremonies. It basically means whatever condition we're in, whether we're pure or impure, one who meditates on the lotus-eyed Lord, Pundarikaksham, becomes pure within and without. This is the real purification. Everything else is to help us. In fact, the whole process of devotional service is to remember Krishna and never forget him. Of course, we do forget him, and well, in one sense, we don't, because if you never remember him in the first place, you may never forget him in the second place. But ultimately, we did forget him. That's why we're here in this material world. So the process of spiritual life is to try to become conscious of Krishna, to remember him. So what we're going to do now, we're going to change the neck beads. Now, I've got 3 sets of neck beads here. They've all been offered to the Lord, and they are a little large. I hope you don't mind. Are you okay with that? You okay with that, boys? You don't need to change your neck beads. You're okay. So, pardon? Yeah, now 3 devotees, or it can do it, doesn't matter. You can do it, one can do it, because I could be talking while you're doing it anyway. So this one's a little different. I didn't have 3 of the same one, so this one's a little different. It's a little fancy. Who wants the fancy one? Who wants the fancy one? Do you want it? Okay. Age before beauty. Here we go. Or beauty before age. There we go. So that's John. No, yeah. Now someone's got to put it on in a minute. Keep it on the plate with a banana for now until he puts it on your neck. And then Prabhupada Pran or one at Hope Sugar Prabhu is going to change your neck beads now. Okay? Oh dear. You can keep the old neck beads, no worries, don't worry about that. But these ones are the ones you wear now. And you take the old ones off and put the new ones on. I hope you can get them off. There we go. Okay, fire away. I hope no, it should be all right. Hope that they go around, don't get strangled or anything. They should be long enough. I remember when I took initiation from Srila Prabhupada in 1972, 50 years ago. We didn't have neck beads on when we were called up to get initiated, and Prabhupada said, go back, sit down, change. We never even had neck beads as far as I remember. We may have had 1 strand, but he said, go and change your neck beads. So it's a part of the ceremony, like a dog collar. Is it okay? They're not too tight on you, Prabhus? Are they okay? John, it's okay, not too tight? Okay, you sure? Otherwise, we'll get you another one if it's too tight. Fine. I'm fine. Some devotees have got little thin necks like me, and some have got thicker necks. So always work. So I'm going to proceed now with a little reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is the transcendental, the nature of transcendence in living practice. The Lord Chaitanya personally demonstrating pure devotional service, and along with his devotees, of course. So we're going to read here from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and of course it may be too late to put it up on the board, but this is from chapter 1 of the Adi Lila, text 35. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Is that code in the title? Mayapur Shashi. Mayapur Shashi, isn't it? Yeah. Mayapur Shashi Ki Jai. Yeah. Hare Krishna. So you can follow this on the board here. Adi Lila, chapter 1, text 35. Those who want to follow. Antaguru Arayata Shiksha Guru Gana Tanhara Charana Age Karye Vandana. There it is. All together. Mantra Guru Arayata Shiksha Guru Gana Tanhara Charana Age Karye Vandana. Mantra Guru Arayata Shiksha Guru Gana Tanhara Charana Age Karye Vandana. Nectar. Well done, everybody. That's beautiful. Just to let you know, as much as you can, and I know you won't be able to do it, and if you need a chair, and you need a chair, John, are you okay sitting like this? You sure? If you have any problems, don't hesitate to tell us. And as much as you can, and we know you won't be able to do it properly, but as much as you can, try to keep your hands clean during the ceremony, and which means, not too much of this. I mean, you can't avoid it. I'm not saying you don't need to, but as much as possible, No, like scratching, various parts of the body or the feet and this and that. You may have to, and fine, don't be worried about it. But as much as possible, keep them. Especially don't put them in your mouth, and start biting your nails or whatever things you may be doing, picking your nose or whatever it is. If you need a tissue, definitely we can provide some tissues. Sometimes the vows need a tissue. But otherwise, we'll do it a little bit of purification later on. But try to keep it as clean as you can. So this verse means I first offer my respectful obeisances at the lotus feet of my initiating spiritual master and all of the instructing spiritual masters. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami is very great, known. In fact, in London in 1972, the first year I joined the temple, there was an exhibition in the School of Asian and Oriental Studies in London. And the title of this exhibition was The Writings of Jiva Goswami and Rupa Goswami, two of the greatest philosophers the world has ever known. Even the university there recognized them as two of the greatest philosophers. Prabhupada said Jiva Goswami was the greatest philosopher. Srila Jiva Goswami, in his thesis Bhakti Sandarbha, has stated that uncontaminated devotional service is the objective of pure Vaishnavas, uncontaminated, without any anarthas, as we mentioned earlier. Anyabilasita shunyam. This verse, which you won't know probably, some of you may know, is a very famous verse. It's from the writings of Rupa Goswami, and it describes the nature or the characteristic of pure devotional service, which we're aiming for. The goal of initiation is not just to be initiated, it's not just to have a name, it's not just to be around, part of the team, that's all right. But the goal is pure devotional service, Krishna Pramartha Mahan. It's not just to remain as we are, it's for changing, helping us. This initiation, there's 2 initiations today. This is the first initiation candidates. It's called Nam Diksha, and we have, boy, it's hard for me to remember everyone's names. Your name? Radha Vinodini, Gopi Balaba, Balabi, Gopi Balabi, and Radha Vinodini, Gopi, Vraja Vinodini, and Gopi Balabi. I'll get it right eventually. Gopa Balabi. Gopa Balabi. Okay. I've got it written down, don't worry. When the time comes, I'll get it right. I'm a bit tired, excuse me. They've already accepted what we just heard as Nam Diksha. Nam, that means initiation into the chanting of the holy name, literally. And they've already accepted Nam Diksha a long time ago. And they've already accepted another stage of initiation called Mantra Diksha, which means they've received further mantras to help further their progress in spiritual life and deepen their commitment to the service of Guru and Gauranga. So, and today, because they haven't sat in on a yajna, generally when we take these vows, it is accompanied by a fire sacrifice. So today they're sitting in on the fire sacrifice on this auspicious occasion, in this auspicious place, in front of the most merciful Kodinitai Mayapur Shashi Tulsinath. And today Nishingadev Bhagavan is also on the altar, and all of our acharyas and so many others are with us today, all the wonderful devotees witnessing this glorious event, giving your blessings to these devotees so they may not just stick to their vows. That's good, but there's a purpose behind it, and that is to awaken, as we've just heard here, pure devotional service to Krishna. It is a gradual process. This is one stage, initiation. Tad vigyanatam sugrumi vabhigachet. That it is essential, the Vedic scriptures say essential. In order to make progress in spiritual life, one must accept initiation from a spiritual master. It's a necessity, it's not a choice. We make the choice to do it or not to do it, or when to do it, or how to do it maybe, but the principle in order to go or enter into the spiritual realm, initiation is essential. It doesn't always have to be seen as simply external. It's also internal, and the main part is internal. Are you okay? You need a chair? You sure? Knees giving you a bit of a problem there. what to do. This body, you're not the body. Anyabilasita shunyam jnana kamajinavatamankulina krishna nushilananda. Pure devotional service. Who knows this verse? Any of the candidates? You ladies must know it quite well. You're from Ukraine, I'm sure you've, very, very beautiful. I mean, please bear this in mind that the devotees in Ukraine have been put to such, let's say, not inconvenience, such a challenging situation. And the hearts of all devotees are with you, and all the devotees in Ukraine. And we know that Krishna is protecting more than ever, and inspiring more than ever. But they have such a wonderful ashrams there. Naranjan Swami and other devotees there devout that yatra like nowhere else in the world, practically thousands and thousands of wonderful Ukrainian devotees, or devotees born in Ukraine. So we're fortunate that two of those devotees are with us today. Anyone else from Ukraine here today? You're from Ukraine, so you're both from Ukraine, is that right? Are you from Ukraine? Both from Ukraine. Yeah. So 3 or 4 devotees from Ukraine are with us today. We're very fortunate to have your purifying association. Thank you. So pure devotional service, as demonstrated by the pure acharyas, is without Anukulina Krishna, is without Anyabilasita Shunyam, is without any material motivation. Not a real. Oh, there we go again. We're back online again. Can you hear me? What? Something to do with electricity. So, yes, without any material motivation, without even desire for liberation. The pure devotional service, the goal of pure devotional service is simply to please Krishna, to satisfy Anukulina Krishna. Anushilan. Anu means, it can mean permanent or constant. Devotional service is Anyabilasita Shunyam. And it's also Anukulina Krishna Anushilanam. It means not just once in a while, but permanent. We're mixed right now. We do go up and down, but the goal is to be completely fixed in unalloyed, uninterrupted devotion, uninterrupted, unmotivated devotional service. We may not be there, but that's part. This is very much a part of working towards it. Without any motivation, it also means to follow in the footsteps of the pure devotees of Lord. They teach us, they give us instructions, they give us their examples to help us progress in spiritual life. So anu. Shilana means to cultivate, to develop, cultivate. So anukulyena means favorably, not just according to our whims or according to our own taste necessarily, but that which pleases the Lord. So we learn that from those who are actually pure devotees of the Lord, and we try to follow their example and their teachings So we may also progress in spiritual life step by step. So during the practice of devotional service, initiation is one of the fundamental aspects. To go from the stage, which is, we mentioned earlier, anartha, when we have material motivations or impure motivations, self-centered motivations, etc., to the stage of pure devotional service. And in the stage of practice, there are two, you could say, two lines there. One is called anashtita bhajana kriya, the other is called nishta bhajana kriya. And anashtita means unsteady, up and down like yo-yos. And nishta means steady. Even if there is in the mind or in the heart many, many, many other thoughts or desires, we remain steady in our devotional practices at least. And we do our best to try to focus our minds on what we're supposed to be focused upon. But there will be disturbances. There will be many, clouds or waves or storms or whatever you want to call it in our consciousness. But we continue with our practice. So today, especially those taking first initiation are making vows. And they're making those vows where they're promising to remain steady in their devotional practices. It's a commitment. It's a stage of surrender, sharanagati, to come to the next stage. Brahmin initiation traditionally means that really we're beyond, more or less anyway, beyond what's called anartha. And that stage is called anartha nivritti, and one's supposed to be then in the mode of goodness, nishta sadhana, where one's mind and one's behavior is supposed to be steady, and we're more or less fixed in the mode of goodness, not attracted or carried away by the other modes of nature, passion and ignorance, which drive everyone in this world on and on and on into one lifetime after another. So to bring that to an end, there has to be a move, or let's say a development of the mode of goodness within our lives. And we haven't got time to talk about that. That's another aspect. But that's the Brahmin initiation, is basically to help us and to bring us to that mode of goodness, or one should be in the mode of goodness, either way, but it is to facilitate our purification, our progress in spiritual life. So the devotees who are taking Brahmin initiation or taken already, they've already done it, following these Brahminical principles to purify our consciousness, our environment, our behavior, and so on. And that facilitates our awakening of pure devotional service. There's much more to be said, but we don't have time. So back to the book here. By associating with devotees of the Lord, one develops a sense of Krishna consciousness and thus becomes inclined towards the loving service of the Lord. That's simply how the process works, by association, appropriate association, that one develops an attraction for service. That's usually the first attraction. This is the process of approaching the Supreme Lord by gradual appreciation of devotional service. If one desires unalloyed devotional service, one must associate with devotees of Sri Krishna. For by such association only can a conditioned soul achieve a taste for transcendental love and thus revive his eternal relationship. Pasangam mamavirya sangvido bhavanti vitkarnava sayana kata. In the association of devotees, one develops a taste for hearing and chanting. In the ear and the heart, it's in the association of devotees that this takes place. Prabhupada said one of the things they can do this without the association of devotees isn't a big hallucination. It's the association of devotees, because it's Krishna who gives that taste. It's Krishna. It's not like a mechanical thing. It's a reciprocation from Krishna. So we must, unless we want to merge into the Brahma Jyoti, we've got to get used to associating with devotees. If one desires devotional service, one must associate with devotees of Krishna, for by such association only can a conditioned soul achieve a taste for transcendental love and revive his eternal relationship with Godhead in a specific manifestation and in terms of the specific transcendental mellow or relationship, that means relationship with the Lord, that one has eternally inherent in him, is eternally in us. It has to nitya siddha Krishna prem sajakavanai shravanadi shurachite kariyudai. Love of God is in our hearts. We may not want it. We may deny it. We may be turning our back on the Lord. That's our choice. That's why we're here. And now we want to turn our face towards the Lord. The devotional service is the process of turning our face towards Him, coming into light, Dhammasimam Jyotiyagamaha, out of the darkness into the light. Eternally, this love of God is in our hearts. It's just covered over. It's not something we get from somewhere else. It's something which is uncovered by Shravananadi Shuchiti Koryudai. By hearing and chanting, the heart becomes cleansed, Shuddhachite. By proper association, chanting and hearing in association of devotees, particularly. If you haven't got it, Krishna understands, but the desire for that should be there. And just like the sun, when the sun rises, everything becomes clear. It's already there, we can't see it. When the sun rises, we can see that that's a tree, that's a wall, that's a dog, whatever it is. When it's a dark, complete dark, you can't see what it is. Some figures, but you can't see clearly. So like that, everything becomes clarified by Shravanadi, hearing and chanting, by following the process. This is the process. If one develops love for Krishna by Krishna conscious activities, one can know the supreme absolute truth. But he who tries to understand simply by logical argument will not succeed, nor will he get a taste for unalloyed devotion. Be free of that speculative mentality. The secret is that one must submissively listen to those who know perfectly the science of God, and one must begin the mode of service regulated by the preceptor, not according to the way I did it, or the way I like to do it, or the way I think it should be done. We're here to please Krishna. We're here to learn how to be what we are in a way which pleases Krishna. You don't have to become something else exactly. We have to learn how to utilize what we've been given according to our karma, how to utilize that in the service of Krishna. The secret is that one must know. A devotee already attracted by the name, form, qualities, etc. of the Supreme Lord may be directed to his specific manner of devotional service. What attraction actually develops in our hearts. And that only takes place in reality. We may be attracted because the Sankirtan movement is so attractive. Jiva Goswami says even one who still has anartas will be attracted to Sankirtan. But in a deeper level, our attraction is still conditional. It's not permanent. It's not constant. It's still, according to circumstances, situations, we may be attracted and others we may not. So we're not on that platform of complete attraction for the Lord because there are still anartas. When one gets freed of these anartas, at that point, when one comes to the Nishta stage and one's attraction, ruchi, for chanting may develop, at that stage, the preceptor or the pure devotees of Lord may reveal to us the path to awaken our eternal constitutional nature of the Lord in terms of that eternal nature. And yes, we're all servants of God, everyone. So the practice of devotional service at every stage is focused on that understanding. I am the servant, or I am the servant of the servant's servant. This mood of service. But exactly what my service is may, in this world right now, it may not, it's not our permanent relationship with Krishna in terms of the nature of that particular activity. That can only be revealed in due course of time when the heart is completely purified of all desire for exploitation or selfish motivation of any kind whatsoever, and there's no attraction to anartha. The anartha may still be there, some trace may be there, but no attraction to it. It doesn't have any interest anymore. Takes time, don't become disheartened. A devotee must have only one initiating spiritual master because in the scriptures, acceptance of more than one is always forbidden. There is no limit, however, to the number of instructing spiritual masters we may accept, and this is an important point. In an association of devotees, of course, a devotee sees everyone else in the sense as his superior. He doesn't consider anyone as inferior to them at all. A devotee respects everyone, not to speak of other devotees, and sees how we can learn. Krishna is teaching us through others, how we can learn through every living entity practically. What is it there that Krishna has now arranged for me to learn how I can purify, how I can become more pleasing to Krishna. And specifically, we have initiating spiritual masters for those who wish to go that far. And but there's one Diksha Guru. There's no real difference in terms of the absolute, just different functions. The Diksha Guru is also Siksha means to instruct. Diksha means one who gives the initiation of the connection. And Siksha means the one who instructs us on the path, which is really the life principle of a devotee. It's not just getting initiated, it's the Siksha, which is the life force in our progress in spiritual life. So we may have many Sikshas to different degrees. We may have absolute Sikshas, and we may have, you could say, Sikshas who guide us to a certain point, then we move along. In our case, very beginning of devotional service, someone may say, here, just chant Hare Krishna. They're giving us Siksha. Take prasadam, they're giving us Siksha or guidance. But that's, then someone else may come along and give us, we need more. They give us more instructions. They're all acting as Siksha Gurus, all should be respected. Then there are those who are absolute Siksha Gurus who introduce us or are capable of introducing us to our eternal relationship with the Lord. The Diksha Guru, normally speaking, would be that personality also. In some cases, it may not be. The Diksha Guru is the one who makes the official connection on behalf of the disciplic succession to enable the disciple to progress through the stages of devotional service so they can rise above anartha to the stage of Nishta Sadhana Bhakti. And from there, it depends on the realization of the particular devotees involved, then otherwise Krishna will give us the opportunity to associate to make further progress when that time comes. But right now, we don't have to worry too much about that because you've already all said, you have anarthas. So we have a little bit of groundwork to do. Don't start dreaming. I call it, this word sometimes people want love of God straight away, I want to know what my eternal relationship with the Guru should tell me right now, isn't it? I want to practice what's called, there are two, and then there's twos of twos, lots of twos, but there are, in the practice of devotional service, there are you could say the two sides of the same leaf, it's sometimes said. There are two lines. One is called Vaidhi and one is called, Raganuga. Vaidhi and Raganuga Bhakti, or Sadhana Bhakti. So in the Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti is rules, regulations, it's kind of for beginners, you could say. Raganuga Bhakti is spontaneous. One's attraction to Krishna in certain ways beginning to spontaneously evolve. So sometimes I say, I want to practice Raganuga Bhakti. I don't waste my time with all these rules and regulations and all these, bits and pieces around here. Do this, do that, get up, do this, chant so many, this. Spontaneous. We want love of God. You don't get love of God by Vaidhi Bhakti. You get it by Raganuga. You guys are all neophytes and you're never going to rise to Raganuga. Sometimes there was think or speak something along those lines, So, if you read the writings of the real Ragatmikas, those who are actually on that platform, you would never think in such a way. But anyway, perhaps they never read them or they read them with a motivation, I don't know. But it's pretty clear there that we have to go through the stage of Vaidhi Bhakti until the heart is cleansed. Pretty clear. It's not that we're not, obviously the goal is spontaneous love of God. You should know that by now. Krishna Paramatma. So I have a phrase, I have it just over there. What this word in English? Premature? Prematurely. What does prematurely mean? Prematurely. Huh? Yeah, trying to get something for the proper time. It's amazing how the word is constructed. I don't know if it came originally from it. I say, instead of prematurely, I say prema too early. We're not ready for it. Prema means pure love of God. We should aspire for it, but you can't get it too early, You got to go through it. You don't get your PhD until you go through the step-by-steps. So prema too early, and I've got to do action. Look, just see what a moochy creature I am. Just itched my ear. I've been tolerating it for the last 15 minutes anyway. What to do. Prema too early. Prematurely. It's almost exactly the same word. So there's a process, and Prabhupada's giving it here. And Siksha Gurus guide us on that path, step by step by step, Don't think, I only have my Diksha Guru, I don't listen to anyone else. Don't worry. They'll take, I say you should worry if you think like that, because that means Krishna will not give the revelation. He will not cleanse our heart. It's Krishna who cleanses our heart, not us. It's Krishna. He cleanses the heart by his, when we call upon him, when we're calling him, we're serving him according to the process. Krishna will cleanse our heart. This is surrender. According to as we surrender, Krishna reciprocates accordingly. And the first early process is Kleshagni, is that he cleanses these things away from our heart. He removes the dirty things. And if you read the Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd chapter, the 1st canto, you'll see the whole process is there. One should remember that a person who is reluctant to accept, I missed the line, never mind. One should remember that a person who is reluctant to accept a spiritual master and be initiated is sure to be baffled in his endeavor to go back to Godhead. Baffled. But I know everything. I know every verse in the Bhagavad Gita. I'm chanting 64 rounds a day. I go to the holy dams 3 times a year. I've taken 10 million vows in Radhakund. I've read all the books 100 million times. I've distributed 50 million books. Surely I'm going back to Godhead. Yeah. Yes, somebody agrees with me. Who was that? Was that Palika? Was that Palika? Huh? Ravendra? Govinda. Where's Govinda? Let's see Govinda. Hey, he's come all the way up from Leicester. Govinda Hari Purusham. Where are you? Here he is. Hari Bo. Jai. Hey. Hari Bo. So yes, where are we? Remember, we'll be baffled. Why? Because Krishna will not remove the curtain. That false ego will still be there. I know, I do, I this, I that. iPod, iPhone. I everything, huh? I. You see that up here in Scotland? I. Everything I. Me, I'm the doer. Hey, me, man. One who is not properly initiated may present himself as a great devotee, but in fact he is sure to encounter many stumbling blocks on his path of progress towards spiritual realization, with the result that he must continue his term of material existence without relief. It's not about doing things, it's the attitude of it. In all activities is the attitude which counts, the attitude which we have. Not just what we know, what we do, and how much recognition we're getting, and so on. This is all keeping that false ego in place. Such a helpless person is compared to a ship without a rudder, for such a ship can never reach its destination. It is imperative, therefore, that one must accept a spiritual master if he at all desires to gain the favor of the Lord. Service of the spiritual master is essential. If there is no chance to serve the spiritual master directly, a devotee should serve him by remembering his instructions. There is no difference between the spiritual master's instructions and the spiritual master himself. In his absence, therefore, his words of direction should be the pride of the disciple. If one thinks that he is above consulting anyone else, including a spiritual master, he is at once an offender at the lotus feet of the Lord. An offender can never go back to Godhead. It is imperative that a serious person accept a bona fide spiritual master in terms of the Shastric injunctions. Sri Jiva Goswami advises that one not accept a spiritual master in terms of hereditary or customary social and ecclesiastical conventions, ritualistic. There are different types of spiritual masters, the Kulu Guru and this Guru and the Varna Guru, and so many gurus may be there in traditional society, but it's not what we're talking. This is the line of Sat Guru, that which leads us to our eternal relationship with Krishna. Siksha Diksha Guru in that line, not this hereditary one which is just a formality. No, that doesn't remove the false ego, that type of initiation. It's the initiation of the pure unalloyed devotees, and their association, which opens the gateway to pure devotional service. One should simply try to find a genuinely qualified spiritual master for actual advancement in spiritual understanding. It's the end of that particular purport right at the beginning of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and it's time to quite long, but now I was going to discuss an amazing lecture that Prabhupada, not a lecture, the article which Prabhupada wrote in 1944 in his very first Back to Godhead movement magazine, first issue, 1944. Prabhupada wrote this article, and it's really, really long. And nowadays it wouldn't go down very well because, it's just a newspaper with nothing but writing from beginning to end. Long articles, like 10,000 words or something per article, maybe 20,000. Nowadays that sort of thing would not go down for most people, but what to do? So, okay, we're going to have to skip this one with some beautiful statements about accepting a spiritual master. So I'll go straight to this little thing. This is related to that article. At the end of that article, so we want to come to pure devotional service. Okay, we assume that to some degree that may be in our hearts, or to attain the goal of life, or perfection, or love of God, or whatever it is that our goals are. There's a process to try to achieve it. Now, if we want to attain love of God, and obviously some of us may not be thinking in that line, but if we do, what is the procedure? We've already mentioned a lot. Is there anything more to be said? What is the main thing? What's the main practice to develop love of God? Main practice. Practical. Thank you, Janananda. We knew that Janananda Prabhu would know the answer to that. We heard that yesterday in Edinburgh, Janananda Prabhu, and how much faith he had in the holy name, to chant the holy name under the direction of Srila Prabhupada, following the process that he has given. So chanting the holy name. So we also hear that there are no hard and fast rules for chanting the holy name, isn't it? That's pretty good, isn't it? You can do anything. You can smoke your whatever. Drink whatever you like, eat whatever you like, do whatever you like, chant any way you like. There are no hard and fast rules, Prabhu. It's there in the scripture. Why are you talking about all these other things? Just chant Hare Krishna, that's all. So what does that mean? Pretty good argument. What does it mean? What are you going to do if someone says that? Don't know. We're back to Glasgow again, and that boy, and I don't know. Everything I asked him, he just said, I don't know. Come on, wakey. Well, first of all, what does it mean, that statement? And then how we take it secondly. Huh? Okay, good one. Nobody is disqualified from chanting Hare Krishna. Nobody. Okay? Another side of it is that you can chant anywhere, anytime. No matter where you are, you can chant. Of course, you may have to use your common sense. In some situations, you may have to keep it quiet, or you may have to do other things. But in principle, there's no, you can only chant when you've taken your bath. You can only chant if you're in the temple. You can only chant on certain times. No. You can chant anywhere, anytime, any place, and anyone can chant. It's a beginning statement. When you have two statements, the first one may be relevant to start things off. The second statement or later statements are to go further. It's like, okay, can you take me to Glasgow? You got a car? Okay, what do I have to do? Open the door. Is that the final statement? No. You're sitting there, well, what's happening? Nothing's happening. Told me get in the car, but we're not moving an inch. So the first stage, you've got to get in the car, right? If you don't get in the car, you couldn't sit on the roof, but you probably fall off. Might get in trouble also. Not in India, but you get in trouble if you're inside the car in India. But yeah, that's just step one. Anyone can chant. Just get in the car and sing and dance. Haribo. Great start, like a baby learning to cry. Doesn't need much teaching to learn to cry now. Learning to say ABC. We have a little thing later on for little child learning to write. ABC. You don't start at ABC. Everyone can chant. That remains an eternal principle. Anywhere, anytime, any place, anyone can chant. But that's not the full thing. If we want to come to pure devotional service, of course, if we have implicit faith in the chanting, then Krishna will. He'll arrange it. But mostly people don't have implicit faith. They still have faith in other things. They're still unaffected by their false egos. So there are rules and regulations in the Vaidya, the practicing stage, to help us to become free of that attachment, those anchors in this world that we all have to our previous concepts, our previous lifestyles, etc. You can carry on with those, but without any self-motivation. It's for the service of Krishna. So how to change that? So there are a process, so Prabhupada said many times. And in this article in 1944, it's a long article. It started off with Prahlad Maharaj and Lord Nrsingadev, appropriate for today, and how much faith Prahlad Maharaj had in the holy name of chanting, and how the other boys in the school were saying, "What are you doing? Come and play ball with us. We're young kids." All the other kids in the school were known as children of the Asuras. They were all children of demons. And he was also born in a family of demons, but he was a great devotee. And he was so attached to chanting, he didn't want to play ball. He didn't want to go doing this and that. He didn't even want to study, but he had to. He just wanted to chant the names of God. And they say, "You're wasting your time." You ever heard anyone say that? What are you guys doing? Just singing the same damn thing all the time. Why don't you sing something different? Why don't you do something useful? Right? Sometimes you hear things like this. Just when I first started chanting, I remember that one of the fellows I was with hippies. He said to me, "Why don't you just chant fish and chips? It's the same thing. You try it and see. You won't get the same result. Neither will you get fish and chips either. And if you do, God bless you." You get nothing out of it except for tiredness, right? Boredom, tiredness. No benefit whatsoever. In fact, you get less than benefit. You go backwards. When you chant Hare Krishna, it's not an ordinary mantra. It's not an ordinary sound vibration. Golokera Premadana Harinama Sankirtan. It's come from the spiritual realm. We just have to hold on. It's like a lifeline brought to this world by the pure devotees of the Lord, giving us that chance to hold on. Initiation is that commitment to hold on. Hey, Govinda, hold on to the lifeline. Don't give it up. Keep chanting, keep chanting. And the more we can apply the process, the more the chanting will become pleasing to Krishna, which means pure and pure in our motivations, pure and pure in our consciousness. So there are, basically speaking, there are three stages of chanting. There are many others, but three main ones. It's called Nama Aparad. That means chanting with offensive or selfish motivations. And then there's Nama Abhas, which means we're not pure, but we're not chanting with selfish motivations. We're trying to purify ourselves, or we just don't know why we're chanting, maybe you could say also. We're not chanting with offensive intentions like liberation or material gain. And the third one is Shuddhanam, which means pure, unalloyed chanting with love of God blossoming in our hearts. So to come to that stage, mostly practitioners are hopefully on the platform, at least Namabas. But there are still misconceptions, there are still attachments, there's still interruptions, and there may be still ill motivations which we're conscious of and we're trying to get rid of, but we're still addicted to, etc., etc. So to that transformation from Nama Aparad through Namabas to Shuddhanam is evoked in the association of pure devotees of the Lord, who give us the process to make that transformation. So Prabhupada is talking a lot in this lecture about that transformation, or in this article. Transformation. Then he came to the point of the face of Prahlad Maharaj was unflinching. He was a pure devotee, a Shuddha Bhakta. So in such association, we hear about these great personalities. It inspires us on the path towards pure devotional service. Then Prabhupada starts to talk about the 10 offenses against the chanting. And we haven't got time. It's quite long comments on them by Prabhupada. Maybe his first time he ever expressed or exposed these points. I'm just going to read a few points which Prabhupada mentions here. Let's see. The 10th offense against the chanting of the... I'll just mention the 10th offense. On through the 9, and it comes to 10th. It's quite different to what we understand. The 10th offense, and the last but not the least. You know this term, last but not least? The last but not least offense to the lotus feet of the transcendental name of the Lord is to either to become inattentive to all the above offenses, not the name, the offenses, inattentive to the offenses. In other words, we don't care less. We sail on like robots, if at all. Whoops, somebody's had a fall. You okay? Is that your daughter, Nandaki? Hare Krishna. Tulsi, isn't it? Tulsi? Tulsi! She's a very shy girl. She came to see me the other day with her close friend, Balaka. So it's interesting, huh? Prabhupada, this is his writing in his first article on this subject. Be inattentive to all the above offenses, or not to take to the chanting of the transcendental name of the Lord, in spite of hearing all the glories of the system. It's quite different to what we normally say. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur doesn't even include the inattentiveness amongst the 10 offenses. That is the transformation from Namabhas to Shuddhanam. That's a big topic. We can't talk about it now. A serious student of Sankirtan can get rid of all the above offenses if he desires so, knowing well the different forms of offenses and by refraining from them by all possible precautions. Sometimes we don't, it's just hardly. This can, however, be done without difficulty by continuous chanting of the name of the Lord. And for such constant reciter of the transcendental name of the Lord, there is no room for committing such offenses. Nothing else, it's just constant chanting. We may not be on that platform. In conclusion, we may add that without culture, nothing can be made to perfection. The culture of the science of Sankirtan is Sri Krishna himself, both being non-different. In other words, name and Krishna are non-different. In mundane matters, only the means and the end are different from one another. But in the transcendence, the means and the end are non-different. In preparatory stage only, for chanting the name of the Lord, there is every chance for committing the above offenses. So let's just go through those offenses now. The 10 offenses against the holy names. Do any of you know them? Anybody know what those 10 offenses are? Don't just say they're in the book. The first initiate before Prabhupada said, what are they? They said they're in the book. What are the 10 offenses? If you don't know them, of course you may be pure, but usually we're not. We may still be committing some kind of offense against the Lord. The name is the Lord himself, don't forget. We just heard. What are the 10 offenses? The first offense is not to respect me when you see me, right? Sometimes we think like that. What's the first offense? Where's that coming from? Okay, Pada. Very nice. You have to read. I'm not going to comment much on this, but you should read Prabhupada's purport or his comment in this article on that. It's really far out. But in principle, the devotee doesn't blaspheme anybody, no matter who they are, even if they're considered sinners. That's not our business. Our business is to try to rectify. Our business is to, as Jesus said, hate the sin, not the sinner, and to try to change the behaviors, because nobody is inherently a sinner. It's just a covering of our consciousness, that's all, which we're attached to or identified with. So especially those who dedicated themselves to the chanting of the holy names. They're the great lifesaver. They're the most only persons in the whole universe, really, who are bringing help or relief to the living entities, and then we blaspheme them for whatever reason. It obviously is. And those who are assisting those devotees, we should never criticize or blaspheme or be envious of them either. Second one, what some of the aspirants here? Don't worry if you've forgotten or you're nervous, or are you okay, John? You're not the knees are not giving you too much. A little bit. If you really need, not long to go, but if you need a chair, let us know. Very good. And this means to equate others. God is one, and there are many assistants of God. They may be empowered by God to do great things, even create universes, and they may accept our worship, but in relationship to the Supreme ultimately. But to worship them separately from the Lord is not correct. That's misunderstanding. Or to think they are God in themselves, or there are many gods, or there's no God, or I am God, is basically the greatest offense. It's called Mayavad. It's a form of Mayavad. And that's the greatest blockage to one's awakening of pure devotion, even more than material desire. The third offense, to disobey the orders. Obviously, that speaks for itself. If we disobey the orders, unless the so-called spiritual master is bogus, that's a different thing. But in is it? It is. But to follow the orders of a bona fide, and Prabhupada says bona fide means they're in a bona fide discipline succession following their spiritual master. So if we disobey them, we may say, well, I don't believe they're very advanced, I don't want to follow. That still means we're disobeying the pure devotees of the Lord because they're following the pure devotees of the Lord. So that would definitely assure us of not making spiritual advancement. The fourth one. Very good English. I'm surprised. You say it in English in Ukraine or in Ukrainian? Yeah, but you know the English pretty good. Well, thank you for that. Yes, to blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of the Vedic version. There are many Vedic literatures, and those who are in pursuance of it, even the original scriptures, other scriptures, directly or indirectly, are in the same vein, and they should never be blasphemed. Of course, if they're changed, meddled with imperfect creatures, that's something else. But the actual scripture itself, even if it is preliminary, very basic, moralistic directions, it should not be criticized because it is relevant to certain persons at different stages, whether it's on the higher level, Raganuga Shastra, or lower level, simply Punya Shastra, scriptures, pious scriptures, to bring us to a human platform. Everything has its part to play and should be, respected accordingly. Fifth offense. Behind them, there's a technician at the back there. Yeah, to consider the glories of chanting Hare. We may not experience those, and probably in the article wrote a lot about that as well, a little bit. And it's that they will come in time. You don't expect it in the beginning. That doesn't mean I'm not getting it, therefore it doesn't exist. It's sour grapes philosophy. Yeah. But that doesn't, it comes when the time is right, if it's necessary. It's a matter of timing. Different things appear at different stages of our life. Even materially, we get different realizations as we grow. Sixth offense. To give some mundane interpretation or To think the holy name means, Brahman, Prabhupada said. To think it means Brahman, or think it's referring to one of the demigods, or think it's referring to, something else altogether. Interpret it. Krishna. K means this, R means that. There are definitions of it, but we don't interpret it. We hear what the scriptures and the sadhus say. What's the number? What were we on now? Number 6? 7? 7. Very good. You're very quick on that one. Most of us have committed sinful activities, probably all of us. Some of us are still doing, but not on the strength of chanting. You can chant, and even if we are still, let's say, sinful in our behavior, with a repentant heart, one can make great advancement. It's not about just forgive me for my sins. It's a matter of repentant heart. Please help me. I'm sick of this. I'm committing sins which I know are not pleasing to you and not beneficial for anyone, and so on and so forth. Please help me. Please give me the strength to get free of this behavior pattern. You can approach like that in a repentant heart, but not just saying, I don't care, there's nothing we can do about it, we're humans. It's hard, we know, but it's better to be an honest, repentant person engaged in sin than to be duplicitous about it. And the 8th offense, I'm sure everybody in the universe heard that one. He's shy. He's very shy, probably. Very shy person. Well, then there's a bit of a tongue twister, that one. It's not an ordinary mundane mantra meant for elevation to the heavens or even for liberation. This is the Paraka. Taraka Brahma mantra means releasing us from this world. It's also Paraka Brahma mantra, which can actually awaken our eternal loving relationship with the Lord. It's meant, that's the reason for the Lord appearing in this form as this Maha mantra, not to help us to live nicely in this world. That may or may not be the case, but to actually help us to awaken our eternal loving relationship with Krishna. 9th offense. Good. So I think we should stop all of our preaching. Right? Well, you shouldn't even talk to someone who's not a pure devotee of the Lord. Don't even think about them. Don't even look at them. What does it mean? Yeah. Again, premature. For the vast majority of people, what on earth do you expect to understand? We just try to get them to chant, not even explaining the actual esoteric or the deep, even the shallow meaning of the name, only when we're ready, because it will misunderstood or it'll become negative. You try it somehow to help others to come along the path, not educate the child prematurely, lose all interest in the subject. So Prabhupada said it means we don't initiate people who are not qualified when he was talking on this verse. Interesting. 10th offense, we've already heard Prabhupada's original statement on it, but we have another understanding. What is that? Haribol Janananda. What's the 10th offense? Now everyone's a bit hesitant to say after hearing what Prabhupada wrote. What's the 10th offense? Come on, one of the candidates. 10th offense. Slovakian? Say it in Slovakian. You got to learn these 10 offenses. The mind saying what? Maintaining. To maintain material attachments, even after hearing so many instructions on this matter, and to not have complete faith in the holy name, is translated literally to think that, to be under the mentality or the attitude of I and mine, to be in this illusory concept of who I am and this is mine and this is that. And, not really understanding not having implicit faith in the holy name, using it as a means for other purposes, so to speak. And it's also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. That's a big topic. It speaks for itself. The more we can be attentive. To be attentive, we have to be pure, in Bhagavatam states, pure in our mind. To be pure in mind, we have to be pure in our eating, sleeping, mating, defending, all of our other activities. So that's why we have environmental adjustments, rules and regulations to follow, so the ground is more favorable for pure chanting purely, attentively. Is it harder to chant when you're in the middle of, you have underground system in Glasgow? When you're in the underground, people all around, the trains going left and right, noise everywhere, musician playing, doing his gig at the end, busking at the end. Pretty hard to be attentive. So as much as possible, we try to arrange a situation where we can at least some of the time be attentive when we chant. And practice that, associating with Krishna without any interference. So the sound vibration enters deep within our hearts and cleanses our consciousness. Okay, well, I'm going to finish there, I think. Oh, no, just finish this little purport here, not much to go. The offenses as described above, if kept in view, the sincere culturist will be able to avoid them without difficulty. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami, it is said that the mind must be fixed up in the chanting of the name, and the regulations are to serve them as subordinate servants. The sowing of the seed of Sankirtan, that means the complete glorification of Krishna, must be performed immediately unto the heart of everyone and all, and the watering process of the seed so sown must be done by constant hearing and chanting in the association of devotees. When the seed sprouts at the heart, the gardener must protect it from all sides by guarding against the above-mentioned offenses. In this process, the seed of Sankirtan will grow up to a big tree when the nectar and fruit of love of God shall automatically ripe. And this is Prabhupada's Old English. And the gardener will be able to taste the same transcendentally, sell it, and make a huge profit of it. There we go, good business venture. Om Tat Sat. What does he mean by selling it? Yes, if we have to sell the mantra, I thought Prabhupada said we shouldn't be selling the mantra. Here he says you have to sell it. What does it mean? Sharing with others, giving it to others, distributing it with wholesale. And to the degree that people take it, they get it. And you make a huge profit. Everyone gets a profit like that. Share it with everyone. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, go Premanandi. Jai. Hare Krishna. So now we could proceed on. And I can put this away. Now comes the stage we're all waiting for. It needs a little help here. I think maybe not. If I can get this bag out. There we go. So what are we going to do now? We have to readjust a little bit here. Oh, look, who's come to join us in the Yagya? Look at that. I'll need the Achaman cup. Don't take it fully away. Hey, man. Huh? Bugs are falling out the ceiling. Great. I hope they're falling out of our hearts as well. We want all those bugs in our hearts to come out as well. Don't come back in again. Well, they're going to do their obeisances next, so we don't want to. Okay, we haven't installed, we haven't done the yoga. I'll do that afterwards, okay. Did you? Okay, so he should be in the northeast corner. Is that the northeast corner? He is, okay. Well, why don't you put him just over there and bring the bucket over here. Bring the wood over here. Move that away. Put the bucket. Don't kick the bucket. There we go. There he is. Great. So now we're going to call upon the candidates, one by one, to come forward. Next stage, Namakarana, we're giving new names. Prabhupada said it. Initiation, the disciple, the devotee changes their names. Why change the name? It's to help us to get a different identification. The names which are given are all followed by the word, and today they're all male forms, they're all followed by the word das. Das is a significant word, like our family name. Das means servant. Das, dasi, servant. We're here to serve, not be served. The essence of initiation to accept the responsibility that I am the servant. Dasa, 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 das. Servant of the servant, 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 servant. Not that I'm the master. We call each other Prabhu. Sorry. Maybe ladies don't, I don't know. Do you call each other Prabhu? Prabhi is the female terminology. Prabhi. Don't use it in Islam. Prabhu means master. Hey, Prabhu, come here. Come here right now, Prabhu. If you don't listen to me, you are out of here, Prabhu. Sometimes we use it like that, right? Isn't it? It's complete contradiction. Hey, master, come here. I'm going to give it to you. No. It means we have to bear that in mind. We're here to serve. Even if we have to correct someone, it's in the mood of service to them, not controlling them or chastising. Chastisement in the mood of service is beneficially can be there, but not in the mood of just getting on someone's case. So, das is the significant word. So we're going to call the candidates up one by one. And what you do is when you come up, you first of all come here, pay your obeisances here, pay your obeisances to Prabhupada, pay your obeisances to the deities, and then come back and sit there. You get it? You come around this way, and pay your obeisances here, and then to Prabhupada, and to the deities, and then come back and sit here. So, Prabhu, you're nearest, so we'll call you first. Don't forget, last but not least, is the first. Pay your obeisances here. In the meantime, everyone can chant a little japa. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare. Matos is from Slovakia. He's been practicing for many years, devotional service. He's been traveling outside of Slovakia for quite a while. He was in London. He was staying in London for about a year at the manor and doing various courses there. They wanted to keep him there, but I stole him away. He's now traveling with me here and there. And he loves chanting and Sankirtan and whatever service. He's sincerely trying to cultivate the qualities of a devotee and serve the devotees very nicely. So he's going to come and sit. Maybe it's best if you go around that way. No, I don't know if it's too much behind. Yeah, that would be a nice circle if you can go behind you and come and sit here. Let's go back and forward. So there's a big test now. I haven't given many clues to this test. Okay, what are the 64 items of devotional service? That's the first question, isn't it, on the list? Oh, you gave me the wrong sheet. Where's Raghunath? You printed the wrong sheet out. Don't worry, relax. What are the 5 regulated principles? Sometimes that's okay. Sometimes you say 5, actually. There's sometimes tagged on. I've heard it. But Prabhupada gave. He only really gave us, in chanting the holy name, besides the 10 offenses, he only gave us 5. He gave us 4 don'ts and 1 do, isn't it? Literally speaking. So what are the 4 don'ts?
It's no meat eating, no illicit sex, no intoxication, and no gambling.
Is that right? Aye. Is it right, John? Is it right? He's don't we? I'll leave you last so you can memorize it all. Better start remembering it quick. So what are they? I know you said it already. And that meat eating includes no
Eggs and fish.
No eggs. Okay, no eggplants. Eggplants are okay. That's not plants that grow eggs. No eggs, no fish, no onions and garlic. Oh
Garlic.
my goodness, that's a hard one for many of our Indian devotees. Not hard for the English ones so much, for the Indians it's very hard. And how many rounds a day? What's the
At
dues?
least 16.
At least 16 rounds of chanting Hare Krishna on the beads. Oh, Govinda. Oh, don't worry. You may not be able to do it now, but you'll be able to do it later. Oh, your time will come. Hare Krishna. Oh, he may have to take a walk. He may have to take a little walk. Thank you, Priya. And none of us can remember what it was like when we were at his age, right? Now, we were all that age one time, probably making 10 times more noise. Amazing how we grow and come to this point. So, Hare Krishna. On behalf of Srila Prabhupada, please everybody, if you've got the Madunga ready, cartels ready. All ready? Cartels. Today is the appearance day of Lord Nrsingadev. Nrsingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. I was going to give names to all the candidates, names of Lord Nrsingadev, but I changed my mind. Oh, 108 names of Lord Nrsingadev. But still, we usually give names which have the syllable of the first name. Like Matus is M, right? And usually give names which have the same letter. And usually, not always, but usually. So we thought of a name today, which is the name of Lord Nrsingadev. Yeah, I hope you're okay with that. You have many names, and they're not always what you think they be. By the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and our disciple succession, we're privileged to have this opportunity to officially connect you to their Guru Parampara, our Guru Varga. And we hope that you'll stay forever serving that line of disciplate succession. This is the servant of the servant line. And continue to, with all your heart, remain in Prabhupada's service, in the mission service. Your name is Mahananda Das. Haribol. Brahmachari. Mahananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Mahananda. Knows what that means. Hare Krishna. You can wrap them around your neck. Haribol. Who knows what Mahananda means? And Prabhupada gave that name to a disciple. It's quite a common name. Great ecstasy. That great ecstasy is not the great ecstasy that you get by taking ecstasy in this world. Quite the opposite. He knows what it is, the honest man over there. Spiritual ecstasy, manifesting from the form of Mahaprabhu, Lord Nrsingadev also. Full of ecstasy. Oh, who would like to be next? You ready? Okay, John. Be careful. Don't step over the bananas and stuff. Go around the back and come around this way. So well loved by all the devotees in Scotland, and his friends and family members are here today to cheer him on. He should have the rattles. You know what they do in the football match? Jay. So I think maybe you can say a few words about John. I mean, I know what I know, but you know more than I do. Or maybe, I don't know, whoever's best, somebody devotional. We'll just say a few words. Then we'll ask the others to say a few. Just 2 sentences.
And there's one thing which has always been very dear to him, his distribution of Srila Prabhupada's books. He likes to day the books.
He likes to what?
He likes to day the books.
Deal.
Do
the books.
do the books.
Do the books. That's like Scottish way of saying.
Because
Do the books.
he's very attached to pleasing Srila Prabhupada, and he knows that the books are Srila Prabhupada's life and soul, and he knows that this is very pleasing to Prabhupada. So he feels, and he has felt for so many years, that in his humility, he's thinking, well, I'm not a very good devotee, but at least I can do the books.
Haribo! You can't do it. I hope we can do the books forever. In the spiritual world, they might take different forms.
He was thinking too that maybe his book distribution days were coming to an end until he's seeing yourself, Maharaj, on Sankirtan, and then realised I need to go further. My Guru Maharaj is leading the way now.
Struggling, trying. Yeah, there's never a time. Even actually, I had one of my best book distribution days when I was in a wheelchair at the Paris Yatra. I fell down the stairs and damaged my leg and arm. I was in a wheelchair, and that was a great day for book distribution. Yeah, because everyone who came up here, some or another, they can make them, almost force them to take a book. You're in a good position, So don't worry, even at the last moment, distributing books. One of our best well-wishers, it's an interesting story, in France, he's not chanting japa, but he's been a well-wisher of our movement, big well-wisher, giving donations, big man, biggest businessman in Paris, died about 2 months ago. At his funeral, it was amazing, at his funeral, there was an Indian man there, and he said, because our devotees went to the funeral, he said, I've been looking for you guys. I want 72 Bhagavad Gitas now. I've been looking. I need it now. I can't. If they don't give it to me within 2 hours, I don't want it. He said there's an embassy, a big party of ambassadors and French ministers. He was going after this to meet them. He said, I want to give every one of them one of your Bhagavad Gitas. 72. We managed to muster them up in 1 hour, and he was off with his 72 Gitas. So that man, although he never distributed one in his life, maybe, but he did 72 in one sense at his funeral. There's no end of it. Passing on the mercy never stops. What about a word from one of your dear friends and family members? What do you think of this young man? Is he okay? You will like him? Is he a lover? Okay, you've got the blessings now of your family and friends. Close associates and all the devotees. Don't forget, please bless these devotees today. So, Hare Krishna, John, do you know what the 4 don'ts are?
No gambling, no meat eating, no illicit sex, no intoxication,
Very good.
no eggs, fish,
No fish,
no
eggs.
tea, coffee.
No tea, coffee. That's the one in intoxication. That's a hard one for many people. We know that's not an easy one. And what are the do's?
32 rounds a day.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Got a new sampradaya here.
16, brother. 16 miles.
No, you can do, Prabhupada said you can chant as many as you can. Millions, never stop. But minimum 16 rounds a day. On Ekadashi, especially, Prabhupada liked us to chant more. He usually mentioned 25. It wasn't a law, but it was a request. We chant more. Not just a request, a recommendation. Hare Krishna. So on behalf of Srila Prabhupada, we're very privileged today to have this opportunity to serve you and hopefully help you to come closer and closer to Krishna. You're already attached to the books, which is wonderful. I would honestly suggest to everyone in the room today, those who are in a position to do so, to take it on board, to have some of Srila Prabhupada's books to distribute wherever you go. The shop, the clinic, wherever you are, the hospital. We had, in the last marathon, one of our devotees was I think they had COVID, but they were distributing books in the hospital, It wasn't COVID, it was something else. But they were distributing books in the hospital. They broke their leg, but they were distributing Gitas in the hospital, You can do it anywhere. You just have to have, if you don't have the books, you can't distribute them. There's a very simple formula. If you don't have books, how can you distribute them? You can, indirectly, but not directly. We want to directly distribute the books. You've got to show them, otherwise they're not going to jump out your pocket either. So everyone's the most wonderful way to please Prabhupada, distributing his books. Many other wonderful ways too, but this is definitely the most wonderful. So we thought of a name for several names, and somehow or another we've come to the final one, which in a sense, some of you are already familiar with it. And this was brought to my attention by John himself. but I had it on my list already, a different list. Very wonderful name of a wonderful devotee, a great servant of Lord Ramchandra in performing a different type of Sankirtan. Your name is, you have to put the mic down. Get the beads in your right hand. Your name is Jambavan Das. Haribo! I changed the name. I had some inspiration, and he came from. I think you know that name, huh? Jambavan. Is it a Hookshire here? At Hookshire, have you heard that name before, Jambavan? Yeah. Is it okay? Joy. Wonderful. And by the way, Prabhupada, I was reading yesterday, Prabhupada said, don't think that Jambavan is a bear. He's the king of the bears. That doesn't make him a bear. And the other place we say he does sometimes look like a bear. It depends. These pure devotees, they can change their forms, you know. And not necessarily, he's not like a big hairy bear with claws, you know, and his hairy, beary, clawy daughter is marrying Krishna, you know. Here, taking hairy, beary, clawy daughter, gives him to Krishna at the wedding. No, she's the most beautiful human form. So, you know, both. So, keep it up. He was a totally surrendered soul in both Leelas, Krishna Leela and Ram Leela. He wanted to give his daughter to Ramchandra, but Ram had made the vow, I will only accept one wife. He said, but next time round. So he stayed, and they waited for the next form of the Lord in the form of the same form, Jambavan, Jambavati. When Krishna appeared, then he gave his daughter to that same Ram. Hare Krishna. And last but not least, obeisance is here, obeisance is there, obeisance everywhere. Okay, Ian, who would like to say something about back to Ian? Who's your mentor? Is your mentor? You have a mentor? Yes, Raghunath, say something about Ian. Pardon? Mike.
So I think Ian's story is from rags to riches.
Rags to riches.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, literally. Yeah, he came from Manchester at one point to volunteer here because some of friends volunteered here, and he used to. I don't want to mention, but maybe mentioned that he used to. When he wanted to take prashadam, you put his beads in the mouth.
Puts his beads in his mouth.
Yes. And then you very quickly, you always loved reading and chanting and studying Prabhupada's books, and very, very quickly he become this wonderful devotee as he is now. And he cooked single-handedly 18,000 meals last year.
18,000?
Yes, 18,000.
And that was one by one. He was cooking a lot last year.
Yes.
That's what is that? How many a day is that? 60 a day. Wow.
Yes.
Fantastic. Food for life. Food
Yes,
for
food for
Scotland.
And very he loves Prabhupada's books. He read Srimad Bhagavatam, entire Srimad Bhagavatam by now, and Chaitanya Charitamrita.
How many of you have read the entire Srimad Bhagavatam in this room? Come on, be honest. Not so many of us. A lot of nice reading to do. He's how many years now have you been here? 4 years. So those 4 years he's read the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. Wonderful. Well, don't put the beads in your mouth this time. I know they're made of dough. I don't know if I told you, my first beads, my initiation beads had dough on them. They were 8 of the beads were made of dough, flour and water, baked in the oven. And somebody ate them the next day. They disappeared the next day, never saw them again. We never had Tulsi beads ever in those days. So, well, wonderful. He also likes gardening. You like gardening too, don't you? He likes being down to earth. You like service? Likes service, just likes to serve. So what are the 4 don'ts?
No intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling, and no meat eating fish or eggs.
Great. What are the do? What's the do?
Minimum 16 rounds.
Very good. And more rounds on the Kaddishi. So again, the name beginning with I thought them in different names. Hare Krishna. I. Well, look at those big giants coming out the bag there. Oh, my goodness. I thought of a name which is related to cooking, related to service, related to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and began with I. Your name, and a very simple name, because I want you to keep your heart very simple. Focus on this wonderful service which you have. Don't be deviated by all the negativities that we may perceive due to our imperfect senses around us. You can easily find faults. Do not. We're looking within our own hearts. It's because the way we see things that we see the faults. Like that. Your name is Ishan Das. Haribo. Ishan was the dearmost servant of Mother Sachi Devi. Yeah. Wonderful devotee. Hare Krishna. Life and soul of Mother Sachi Devi. Hare Krishna. So I guess we can proceed now. I'm on the proceedings. We may have to readjust a little bit. I'm going to ask now some slight adjustments to be made. And I don't know exactly how, but we're going to ask 4 devotees to read during the ceremony. And they'll be positioned, one on this corner, one just over there somewhere, one over there somewhere, and one over there somewhere. So we need 4 books, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, CC, and one other, whatever you've got available. It can be Brahma Samhita if you want to. Are there no books here? Okay, get more. And then we need a little kirtan party in one side of the room. Sweet kirtan. Who's going to lead a sweet kirtan? Gentle, sweet kirtan. Thank you all for blessing these devotees. Thank you all for coming. After the ceremony, afterwards, they may come around. Now, don't take it wrongly. They may come around with their cloth like this, asking for a little donation. If you want to give, you can. If you don't need to. Don't feel obligated at all. It's just traditional that after initiation, the disciples collect a little dakshin, and then they present that to the spiritual master. And of course, it's used in the service of the Lord. So that they may come around. You may want, what are they doing? You know, they're holding their cloth something like this, and whatever. You can drop a flower in there if you have nothing else, or just anything. Just good wishes is enough. But if you want to give a little donation, you may. So we're going to move this chair. I'm going to have the mat because I'm too high. I'm higher than I should be. I'm sitting higher than the Lord. That's not good. Oh, thank you. Whoops, this is a little difficult here. It's pulling on my ear. I don't know what's happening here. Oh, it's going down there. I'm going to take this off. I'm feeling warm. Thank you. This will go away. Put that in the bag. Put the pen in the bag. Put that bag in the bag. And the bag in the bag. And we're going to move this chair. Yeah, it's going to go away. And we're going to put the kusa grass, I think it's a kusa grass mat, down. Hare Krishna. Okay, acoustic grass mat was there. Just there it is. So I don't mind. It doesn't matter if you leave it there. I think it's okay. I don't know what we're going to put in front. So the kirtan can begin whilst we're setting everything up. Have the kirtan. We need 4 readers. Who would like to read the Shastra? Who'd like to read Shastra? Okay. One of you sit here, please. Once you get a book, Bhagavad Gita or something, sit here. One can sit over there reading Bhagavatam or CC or something. We need anyone over here? Okay. Vinna's going to read over here, and one more over here. Who'd like to read? Huh? Okay, great. So if you come forward a little bit, you can bring your chair and sit just behind. Oh God, I've got the names here. Just behind Braj Vinodini. We need one devotee on cartels. Very nice. Start with pranams and then go into Sri Krishna and then Hare Krishna. So we've got to make up the castle. Start singing. Everyone can join in the kirtan. Well, we're preparing a few things here now. To make an opening here, empty here, and yeah, leave it open at the front. I'd usually open the ball in first. The ball of ghee, the ghee ball, the cotton ball with ghee on it. Oh, fine, that's plenty. Push them forward a little bit more with each other. Good enough that everyone can join in. Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Srimate Bhakti Vedanta. Just 1 minute, just 1 minute. Just like to, I forgot, to introduce you all to Vaishnavis here who are solidifying their already existing Diksha at the fire sacrifice today. We have from Ukraine, Braja Vinodini Devi Dasi. And she is a disciple of His Holy Bhakti Chaitanya Swami. Is that correct? And of course, as you may be aware, Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj was for many weeks seriously ill in hospital. He has a few days past been released from hospital, and now he's well on the way to good health recovery. So we hope he'll be coming again to this again in the not too distant future. I don't know if he's been to Scotland, but he comes to Newcastle, because here we also have, also from Ukraine, it says Gopi Balabi. Is that right? It's not me, it's you. You got it wrong. Oh dear, got me in trouble there. Gopa Balavi. Gopa Balavi Devi Dasi is near Newcastle in Sunderland, and her husband is also here on the harmonium. Janananda Das. Haribo. So thank you for joining us today. It's our privilege to do this little service on behalf of your very, very spiritual masters. Hare Krishna. We hope that they will bless you, and they hope that. Where are they, by the way? Where's their pictures? Oh, we're going to have to move the pictures so that they can be visible, because if someone's sitting here, they won't be visible. Move them forward in front of the flower. Here, for the devotees, don't give me the picture. Picture. This is a beautiful picture of His Holiness Niranjan Swami Maharaj, who has been the most instrumental in the growth of the Ukrainian yatra. Wonderful, wonderful devotee. Most wonderful. And one of my old, very close associates. We were serving together for years. And I have lots of stories of him, not lots, a few stories of him, even here in Scotland when we were together on Sankirtan up here. This is His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj, who is mostly in South Africa. He goes to Ukraine also, right? Or he did regularly. Yeah, regularly goes to Ukraine, and now he's in South Africa. But he joined in London in 1972 or 3, I can't remember. Although he's originally from New Zealand, from Auckland, he saw Prabhupada in 72 when Prabhupada was in Auckland. Hare Krishna. It's okay, so you can carry on with the ceremony now, chanting the holy names. Everyone join in with the chanting. It purifies our heart, creates auspiciousness, pleases the Lord. Whatever faults are there, by the mercy of the Lord, there will not be any, on the devotee's devotion. I think there's another problem with this coming and going. Anyway, we'll labor on. We'll labor on. Normally we do Svasti Vachanam, purification of the directions. We're not going to do it. We don't have the things here to do it with anyway, and it takes a little time. And the holy name will purify all the directions. If you chant it though. You have to know, you have to do it also. Have the readers made their pleasant presence known? They're all in place, the readers. You should join that side if possible. I don't know if it's possible because it has to be quiet, very quiet at sometimes. It's difficult if you're on the opposite side of the room. It's okay now, you can be loud at the moment, but later it has to be quiet. Naham vipro na chanara patina pi vaisho na shudro naham vani na tigri patina vanasta yativa kintu prajan nikila paramananda punamita gopi bhata patakam das das damidasa. I am the eternal servant of Krishna. Someone or other fallen in this material world, ocean of birth and death, struggling in this threefold miseries now as a result, cause of delusion. I had the good fortune of meeting my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, who is engaged in the service of Sri Sri Koda in time. Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. You can sit down if you want, or stand. You want a chair? You want a chair? Bring a chair if you want. Otherwise, stand up if you're more comfortable. No problem. Just saying you can, whatever you like. Hare Krishna.
Vedas deal with 3 departments of activities. One is called karma conduct, or activities undertaken to gradually purify one to understand his real position. The next is jnana conduct, the process of understanding the absolute truth by speculative methods.
Sanat Kamaro Vatukamadeva Yashiram Patideva Helanat Devarshi Varya Purusharchanantarat Kurmo Hariramam Nirayada Shishat.
Personality of God that has many parts and parts. Some are called swampsons, or his personal expansion, and others are called divinamsas, the living entity.
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
the ultimate target of Vedic knowledge. Concentrate on your personal enthusiasm or concentrate on
Dipatre Dashanantam Abhutitya Om Samudbhava Namagne Hagachagne Tvam Samudbhava Namasi Om Astrayapat. Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Vajami Dipatre Vidashanantam Abhupetya Dipayate Vivitahetu Samana Dharmaya Sadhye Vihitadashnataya Vibhati Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Vajami. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
And that is liberation.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
In other words, he is not the very word created. For example, when the father creates a child has senses because the father also has
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Prashan Yoturu Devi Chashadam Padita 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 Krishna Param Padam. Wood popping. The wood is popping, it's popping out.
And then fire. When there is actual fire, we can utilize it for various purposes. Therefore, fire is the ultimate goal. Ultimately, in the gross material stage, the quality of life is very much accomplished. Dissipation.
You need him to recite quiet.
Huh?
You need him to speak quieter.
No, it's okay. No, it's okay. It's okay. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Rama Rama. Where's the wood? Oh. You want to put a little wood in when needed, huh? Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. A big spoon. Om Bhava Swaha. Idam Vishnavedam Namaha. Om Bhava Swaha. Idam Achutaidam Namama. Om Swaha Swaha. Idam Narayanaya Idam Nama. Om Bhava Swaha. Idam Anantaya Idam Namama. Have to make the kirtan a little bit quieter now. Keep the kirtan going, keep it going, but quietly. Now we're going to begin the devotees who are taking initiation. You can come forward closer if you can, because from there you'll hardly be able to reach the fire. We hope it doesn't jump out at us. It's a very enthusiastic fire we have today. It is burning up a lot of our reactions. And when we offer the grains in the fire, the idea is, the hope is that we're actually burning up in the mouth of Lord Vishnu. We're burning up our anarthas, letting go of those anarthas to be burned up in the presence of Lord Vishnu, who is present in the form of the fire, the Stapanagata in the presence of the form of the coconut here. Auspicious presence represents Lord Vishnu. And when you offer the grains, you should try if you can to offer them with these two fingers and the thumb, avoiding these two fingers if you can. Okay, so you pick. I don't have any grains. I've got the ghee, but I can't show you. But you kind of throw them in the fire, whichever way is comfortable for you. Try to get them into the fire. I don't need any. I've got the ghee. Try to get them into the fire, and try not to throw all of them at me if you can, or at someone else nearby you. Sometimes you get covered in grains at these occasions. So try to aim at the fire as much as you can. Just a little pinch in your hand, like this. Now I'm going to chant what's called Mangalacharanam prayers, which I'll do one word at a time and ask you all to repeat after me as we chant them. Oh, we didn't. They're supposed to have been lit, but they're not lit. Huh? Anyway, they're getting lit now. Are we ready? Now you have to take off your kurtas and jumpers, please. Not your, kurtas and jumpers. You're going to be pretty warm anyway in a few minutes. You may have to speak a little bit quieter now when you read. A little quieter. So I'll be chanting one where everyone can chant in, or you can join in with the kirtan, which can be a little bit louder than this, but not too loud, so that both can go on simultaneously. Om Agyana Timarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Svaha Svaha. When I say Svaha, you have to throw, each time I say Svaha, you say Svaha and throw grains into the fire. Okay? Svaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kada Mayam Gadati Shva Padantikam Svaha 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 Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Tang Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahajana Sahijana Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Anvitamscha Svaha Svaha Svaha. Now, I'm going to chant, I'll chant your Guru's pranams and you repeat it, and everyone else may or may not repeat it, and then same with yours also, okay? Which way around actually. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate, is yours first, Niranjan Swami Iti Namane Anahata Prayasena Prabhupadasya. Is this yours? What is this? This is your Guru Maharaj's pronouncement. Tushtaye Sankirtan Pravityartam Ihate Gurave Namaha Nama Nishkama Bhaktaya Sarva Bhakta Hitayate Krishna Kirtana Pranaya Niranjan Swami Namaha. Just use Svaha. You can also throw if you want. Svaha Svaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Iti Namane Namami Bhakti Chaitanya Prabhupada Anuvesvinam Anuvesevinam Shri Bhajadam Mahatmya Padarshakam Pripanavam Svaha Svaha Svaha. Louder with the kirtan. Now, someone's going to have to chant my pranams. I can't chant my own pranams. You're going to have to do this. I didn't have time to put them on the right page. It's the same as Prabhupada. It's the same as Prabhupada. It's just Janananda Swami instead of Prabhupada. Just Nama Om. That's like Prabhupada, just with my name instead.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Janananda Goswami Iti Namane Swaha Swaha Swaha.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishnapastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasvati Iti Namane Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha Madhuyoshvala Premaja Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gora Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatardine Rupanuga Viruda Apasidanta Dvanta Hardine Svaha 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 Namo Gaudakishwaya Shakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralamba Rasambode Umeshwa Yedeshta Satchana Priyaha Vaishnava Sarvabhaumaha Sri Jagannathaya Te Namaha Svaha 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 Vancha Kalpa Prudyasyam Vipasintu Yevacha Patitana Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Svaha 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 Namo Vadanyaya Krishna Prema Vidhayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaura Krishna Namaha Svaha 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 Panchatattva Tattva Krishna Bhakti-rupa Sarupata Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Shaktika Svaha 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 Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namostute Svaha 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 Jayatam Surko Pangor Mahamandar Gati Vatsarvasma Madam Bojo Radhavadana Mohano Svaha 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 Divyan Vrindaranya Kelpa Rumadahat Srimad Ratnagara Simhasanasto Srimad Radha Srila Govindadevam Krishnalivi Vedavano Marami Svaha 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 Srimad Rasa Vasarambi Vamsivata Tatasitaha Harshan, Harshan, Venuspanaya, Gopir, Gopinatha, Vyesunaha, Saha, 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 Saptakanchana, Gauraki, Radhe, Vrindavaneshwari, Rishabhanu, Duvedevi, Pranamami, Haripriye, Swaha, 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 Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita, Gadadhar, Srivasadi, Gaurabhakta Vrinda, Swaha, 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. So we're just going to chant a few mantras now, which you won't be able to repeat. I'll just chant them through, asking for any forgiveness in the performance of our ceremony today, or whatever it may be, or anything we may have done which was in any way displeasing or any offenses we may have committed. Mantrahinam kriyahinam pakihinam janarana yat pujitam maya deva paripunam tadastu me yad tatham bhaktimatrena patram pushpam phalam jalam aveditam nivedyantu tadvihanakampaya vedihinam mantrahinam yatkinchiruparitam kriya mantra vihinam va tatsarvam shantum arhasi ajnanat vajanat ashubham yan maya kritam shantum arhasi tatsarvam tasyenaiva vihanamam Sthiti seva gatir yatra smritischinta stutir vataha uyat sarvatmana vishno madhyam tvaya chestitam aparada sahasrani kriyante harnisham maya dasoham iti mam matva shamasva madhusudana Patijata Bhagovinda Name Bhakta Panashyati Iti Samsmitya Pranam Sandarayamyam. Now we're going to stand up, and if you can take your banana in your hands, please. You're going to stand up, and I'm going to try to stand up. It may be a little help. I don't know. Let's see. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. No. Okay. So, oh, that will be in the way of this thing. One step there. Is anything wrong? Oh yeah. Oops. Oh my goodness. Careful. Hare Krishna. Taking a banana in your hands like this. Okay. Not quite right. That's the other way around. Yes. And afterwards it's very perfect. And you can repeat. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Brahmanya Hikaya Jagaditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Brahmanya Devaya Brahmanya Hikaya Jagaditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Brahmanya Devaya Govindaya Jagaditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo. While chanting Swaha, you place your banana into the fire. Swaha, Swaha, Swaha. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Haribo. Shri Bhavan ki jai. Shri Shinitai. Shri Kodinatai Mayapur Shashi ki jai. Shri Kausinath ki jai. Shri Shri Bhagavan ki jai. Guru Bhavan ki jai. Guru Vaishnava ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Pour the remaining grains into the fire from your plate. Don't put the plate in, just the grains.
So is Janananda Maharaj ki.
I pour the remaining ghee in. Plenty of ghee, you can fill through the ghee. So now what we're going to do is just clear up the paraphernalia, put it to the side somewhere, move this, and we're going to circumambulate the kund. Everyone can circumambulate. There'll be a roaring kirtan starting in a few seconds, and then after circumambulation, the candidates will be going around there, beggars of the holy name.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Wonderful. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama, 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 Hare Hare. Shishi, Sonitaiki.
Hare Krishna. So we'll have now a special ceremony. Can you say a couple of words about the ceremony? Because I'm personally not familiar with it.
So this ceremony is called as Vidya Aramba ceremony. So in India, when child grows enough to enroll into a school, the child been blessed by a great sage before starting school. So we have prepared a plate with kumkum and haldi, turmeric powder. So these are very auspicious. So we have a tulsi stick. So Maharaj will be blessing my daughter, younger daughter, Janvi. She is 2.5 years old now. In another 6 months, she will be going to nursery. So this is the perfect opportunity for her to seek blessing so that Saraswati, who is a demigod for giving intelligence, giving knowledge. So we seek blessings from Lord Saraswati Devi today through Maharaj, goddess of learning. Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj. Yeah.
This will be the first time that Janavi will be writing.
Yes. This is the first time. Yes. She'll be writing today first time.
I'm sure she's been doing a lot of drawing. What we're going to sit down. Maybe bring 2 chairs.
Yeah, we can.
You'll have to sit. This is your right hand. Maybe this way. To hold on the other side. So I guess we can have a little mellow kirtan during this. There's no particular mantras otherwise. I know. So bring a chair, please. As quick as you can, please, here. Doesn't matter what chair it is, as long as it's a chair. And a chair for Janavism. Yeah. Okay. Well, a little chair for Prabhu. No, it's a big one. Maybe high. It's a very high chair. It's too high.
That's fine.
Some little kirtan can go on, please, but not too loud. Now, I hold her hand at the same time, right?
Yes, Maharaj.
You can come here.
Hold that right hand.
We're going to write Hare Krishna together, aren't we? You ready? Yeah. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Well done, Johnny. Hare Krishna. Haribo. 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 Wonderful. You got a good writer, young lady. You got a really good writer. Hare Krishna. Pardon? Oh, no, I was just talking to them. Hare Krishna. So, what's the next program, Raghunath? Whoever's in charge here. Is there anyone here? Is Raghunath here? I think. Not fasting, please. You feel free to take a shot of the fasting. 2 o'clock. At 2 o'clock, the festival begins. I think there's a children. Haribol, that's quiet, please. I think there's a children's program as well. I may be wrong. I heard rumors. And that's in the Garanga Hall, or where? What? How it works? I think it's in the Garanga Hall. There'll be kirtan here in the temple. Listen carefully, please. There'll be kirtan here in the temple from 2 o'clock till 4 o'clock, more or less, maybe less or more, once the temple room is cleaned up. And then there'll be a program in the Garanga Hall simultaneously. There's going to be lots and lots of people coming. And for the children, are doing some performances. Then at 4 o'clock, you have to be back here in the temple. We're having Abhishek here at 4 o'clock for Lord Nrsingadev. And that will be followed, or 4 o'clock thereaboutish. And that will be followed by a little ceremony for Bhakti Shelter, I think it's called. Something like that. And that will be followed then by the class on Lord Nrsingadev, which will start maybe at, I don't know, 4:45 or something. And we'll probably go on. It's going to be a slideshow, by the way. There's going to be some entertainment involved. There'll be a slide projection show and a few things. So that will be at 4:40-ish, 4:45. And then there'll be Arti at 6:30. And then at 7 o'clock is 6:30. 6:30 Arti or 6 o'clock? 6:30 and 7 o'clock per shot. And that's it. I've done it. Bhakti Steps. It's called Bhakti Steps Award. Might be, give or take, 10 minutes or so here, isn't it? Yeah, you know how things go in ISKCON. There will be, in the children's program, there will be a talent show. There will be singing. Satvik. Where's Satvik? Is he here? Satvik, he's in Edinburgh, I think. And then there will be a Nrsinga Chaturdasi presentation by Sri Ram. There will be Bharatanatyam dance. Shabdam. Priyavarshini. Ramakrishnan's doing. Then there'll be a bhajan, Nrsinga Pranam, and then finally another bhajan by Sita Lakshmi Subramaniam. Wonderful. That's the children's program in the Garanga Hall. But make sure you're back here by 4 o'clock-ish for the Abhishek of Lord Nrsingadev. Shri Nrsingadev Bhagavan Ki! Shri Nrsingadev Bhagavan Ki! Nrsingadev Chaturdasi Ki! Go Premanande. And prasadam will be served for children and those who are taking prasad now in the normal prasadam room. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Hare Krishna. Is that it? Finished. So that's stage 1 of the program. Stage 2 will be starting shortly. Hare Krishna.
His Holiness Janananda Goswami Maharaj ki jai.
Clean up the temple as quick as we can.